Good evening, race fans, and welcome here to night number 3 of the 2023 H&H Sign Supply Fall Brawl, the 9th annual running of this event. We are bringing you the action live tonight from Five Flag Speedway right here in Pensacola, Florida. And tonight's action features the late model stock cars taking on qualifying, as well as a last chance qualifier in the SARA Next Gen Templates qualifying night. Unfortunately, tonight, as we do have 3 qualifying races all running simultaneously, we will only be able to bring you the action from one qualifier and one LCQ, but we're going to do our best to keep you in the loop on all the other races. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight in the booth is Nick Stein with our good friend Christian Hill working the controls tonight as our producer, with camera angles provided by Dougie Beard. This week of racing is one that short track iRacers look forward to every single year. The SARA Series is filled with some of the toughest racing competition on the service, as we've seen all week so far. And these drivers are looking to show off their talents on one of sim racing's largest annual stages. Nick, tonight the drivers are looking to set the field from 11th on back. Why don't you walk us through the format and tell us a little bit about the venue as well?
Oh, yeah, of course, tonight we're at Five Flag Speedway for the SARA Next Gen Templates qualifying night. And as you said, drivers that qualified 11th on back tonight, last night in the time trials, they're going to be separated into 3 separate qualifying heat races. Of course, we're only able to cover one of them, as you said. And the top 4 finishers from these qualifying races, 12 in total from the 3 heats, are going to transfer over into the main race, which will be the Fall Brawl 250 tomorrow night. And then, of course, the LCQs tonight, they're going to be 60 laps. Drivers that fail to advance from the qualifying heat races will be separated into 2 separate LCQs, with the top 3 cars from each LCQ, 6 in total, being advanced into the Fall Brawl 250.
Also of note, there are 3 provisionals that will be handed out tomorrow over on the SARA Sim Racing League Facebook page. One provisional awarded to the fastest car from time trials that did not advance through the LCQ or the qualifying races here today. Another provisional will be awarded to the top driver in the Super Series points from the 2023 spring season that did not advance. And another provisional will be handed out as a promoter's choice. So look for maybe a Mr. Excitement to be added to the field if they do not qualify in through these qualifiers here tonight. Nick, we've had a great week of action so far. Monday night, we saw Josh Cottle lock in, or not lock in, but he won the weekly shootout race, picking up a bit of cash. And then last night, he did make his way into the pole dash, not able to pick up the pole. That's going to go to Alex McCollum, who didn't win the race last night, but had the best average finish between time trials and that pole shootout. What can we expect here tonight when these drivers go to work to try to lock themselves in? Do you think we're going to see a little bit more of the bumper used out there than what we've seen so far this week?
I think to start this race, it is a 75-lap race tonight. I do think these guys are going to, kind of take it chill, I would say, for the first 20, 25 laps, kind of save a little bit of tires. But once we start getting to the end and we start seeing who's going to be in the battle for that transfer position, I think we'll see things start to pick up a little bit, especially in that 5th, 6th, 7th area, as that's going to be your transfer battle. So maybe the bumper will be used. We really haven't seen it that much this week, but you never know with short track racing. It's always kind of a toss-up on what's going to happen every night.
And just looking through the qualifying lineup here in this race, we'll bring you the full lineup here shortly, but some of the names that do stand out to me: Blake Thronberg, very strong all week long, seemed to be Mr. Excitement, finding his way to the high side, low side, just about everywhere on the racetrack. Of course, Ryan Kuhn, one of the strongest drivers here all week long, had a slip up in qualifying yesterday, not able to lock in through that pole dash, ended up having to come here to these qualifiers and hopefully avoid one of the LCQs to come here tonight. So lots of very talented drivers to watch in tonight's race, and a lot of hungry drivers as well, trying to avoid having to go through the LCQ and take some of that stress off themselves as well, as this can definitely be a very stressful situation. But we do have about a minute time before we hit the grid here tonight. We're going to take a run through some of our presenting partners here that have given us an opportunity to put this show on. As you do see the starting grid on the screen there. We'll get into that momentarily, but have to thank the folks over at H&H Sign Supply, the presenting partner of this event. Whether you're a professional graphic artist who needs vinyl sign making supplies or you're a crafter with a big project, H&H Sign Supply can fulfill your needs for inkjet printable vinyl, wide format printers, sign blanks and stakes, banners, cutters, and so much more. Visit them at hhsignsupply.com and use code SARA15 for 15% off your order. Race One Wraps is a full-service design entity specializing in full-color wraps, vinyl lettering, and apparel printing and distribution. Visit them at raceonewraps.com for more information. Connell Captures brings you the best appearing scheme in this 250 event. Connell Captures is an iRacing photography company that'll capture high-quality photos of any car or paint scheme you want. Message the Connell Captures Facebook page for high-quality photos of your car. And of course, tonight being the SARA Next Gen Templates qualifying night, SARA Next Gen Templates brings you the most accurate next gen manufacturer graphics for your iRacing super late model or late model stock. Complete with 5-star decals and realistic shading for the Mustang, Camaro, and Camry. Templates are available for purchase at racesara.com. The cars have hit the grid. Why don't we go ahead and walk through the starting lineup here tonight in qualifying heat race number 2. Rolling off from the pole tonight, driving the number 4 team ZSS number 4. It's Blake Thronberg, and on board that car he has Zeem Setup Shop, Pitwall Podcast, BT Construction. On his outside, Caleb Hall, the Aftershock Setup Solutions, Ryco, Gossett Bus Lines, TH2 Tire Formula Machine. That's the 23 of Caleb Hall. Nick, why don't you take us through row number 2?
Row number 2 tonight is going to be the 88 of Keith Jeffrey out of Washington for the Shop Racing. And starting in 4th position tonight is going to be the 17 of Alex Gretz out of Ryan Kuhn Motorsports, RKM Setup Shop, Alex Gretz Racing, Studio 10 Wraps out of New Jersey. That car is going to be starting 4th tonight.
Row number 3 is where we find the number 78 out of Alabama, the Shop Elite Performance Industries, Edwards Inflatables, Fast AF Designs machine of Aaron Johnson. On his outside out of Massachusetts, the Ryan Kuhn Motorsports RKM Setup Shop, Kuhn Race Cars and Parts, Everett's Auto Parts, number 72 of Ryan Kuhn.
Starting in 7th position tonight, you got the 09 out of Alabama, the Revelry Racing Superior Performance Motorsports machine of Elliott Carson, starting in 7th position. 8th is going to belong to the number 8 of Richie Murray out of Rhode Island for the T4X Churkin Auto Parts Helger South Coast Power Equipment Supreme Marketing Machine is going to be starting 8th.
In row number 5, rounding up the top 10 here, Noah Boucher driving the number 16, Noah Boucher Motorsports, LaPlante Racing Products, Asphalt Engineering, Rob Belcher Snap-on Machine. It's Noah Boucher. On his outside, the 49, Ryan Kuhn Motorsports, J&S Sales and Service, A.W. Clark Builders, White's Heating Machine. It's Jake Kraut. As we are underway here, that was your top 10, and we are underway for 75 laps of action here, Nick.
Oh, and they're already trying to wreck there as they made a little bit of contact off of turn 2. Blake Thronberg and Caleb Hall getting into arms there off of turn 2. They managed to keep it straight, but one thing that I've noticed on the start is that outside line's keeping up a lot better than what we've seen throughout the week. Caleb Hall in that 23 machine on the very top, and of course 3rd position Alex Gretz. He's holding on very well on top of the 88 there of Keith Jeffrey. So something to keep an eye on there as we go throughout the night. These guys really starting to figure out that top side and figure out how to run it.
Yeah, absolutely. Top side definitely going to come into play here tonight. We're going to have to keep an eye on these drivers, as you mentioned, trying the different lines throughout the event tonight. Battle is on for the race lead as well as a battle for 3rd. That's the 23 of Caleb Hall up on the high side. Blake Thronberg down on the inside as they battle through turns 3 and 4 just behind them. Keith Jeffrey and Alex Gretz are currently holding on to that transfer position. Obviously, very early in the event, 5 laps in already, as the leaders get a little bit of contact there through 1 and 2, door to door. It's still Caleb Hall up top. Blake Thronberg down low. Thronberg now clears out to the race lead, but here comes Caleb Hall battling back, and he dives to the inside, nearly chopping off the nose of Keith Jeffrey.
Ooh, that's a bit of an aggressive move there from the 23 of Caleb Hall this early into the event, but hey, he's showing these guys that he's out here to play, and he's not afraid to make those moves. That almost got him to the inside of the 4 Blake Thronberg there, so maybe a little bit later in the race, once the car has a little bit more grip, he may be able to make that move stick, but for now, it's not able to work as things are starting to single file out a little bit. And a bit of a surprising note here, Ryan Kuhn, who started 6th position tonight, is down in 7th, out of the transfer spot. As you said, it is quite early in the night, but that may be something to keep an eye on. But we did see this in the fun race earlier this week, the weekly shootout. Ryan Kuhn fell back very quickly at the start, just trying to save a little bit of tires, and he came on really strong there at the end. So I think that's what he's doing tonight, is just trying to save a little bit of tires, and then as we get further and further into this race, start to move up a little bit with everyone starting to burn their tires off.
Yeah, you grab that point I was just about to make there. We did see Ryan Kuhn do that Monday night, fell all the way back, kind of out of it for the majority of the race. But then when it was go time, he was on the scene and ready to pass go, collect his $200, and work his way to the front of the pack. As we see Alex Gretz dive to the inside of the 23 of Caleb Hall. Now he falls back to 3rd. Single filed out, like you mentioned, I believe all the way through the field. First side-by-side action we have is Elliot Carlson in the 09 and Rick Rube in car 81. Rube up on the high side of the Elliot Carlson machine. Nearly contact there through turns 1 and 2. It's Rube up on the high side. Carlson down low. Carlson does clear, opens the door now for the Jake Grout machine. Actually, that's Grout up on the high side. Rube on the inside as contact there between Carlson and Grout. That opens the door once again for the 96 of Jeffrey Souza. Souza to the outside of Rick Rube. That's a side-by-side battle for that 10th spot, a little bit further back from the transfer here tonight as we jump back forward. Caleb Hall closing the gap back up there to Blake Thronberg. Thronberg, like I mentioned earlier tonight, has been one of the stronger cars we've seen this week. Not necessarily the quickest, but he's been consistently up towards the front, and he's showing it here again tonight. 13 laps now, 14 in to the event, coming to 15. Thronberg has been out front for all 14 laps so far.
Yeah, that's one thing that you're really going to need, especially at an event like this, is just that overall consistency throughout the race. Of course, the main event tomorrow night, it's a 250-lap race. It's not just a mere sprint, kind of like what we have tonight. So these guys, once they get into tomorrow night and get into the brunt of that main event, these guys are really going to have to figure out that consistency, figure out how to run those lap times that they're running right now, those 16.7s, 16.8s, trying to save that tire. They're going to have to try to figure that out very quickly when it comes to that very long race. And of course, they're going to be pit stops tomorrow night as well. These guys are not going to be able to do that entire race on a tank of fuel or a set of tires. So I think that's what we're seeing tonight in this heat race, is these guys kind of pulling back the lap times a little bit. Because you look at the weekly race earlier this week on Monday, and these guys were running 16.1, 16.0s. I think I even saw a 15.9 there at one point, and these guys are running about 7, 8 tenths slower than what they were running on that Monday night race. So I think these guys are really starting to dial in that tire saving mechanics that you're going to need for tomorrow night's event.
Yeah, that's exactly it. This session here tonight, of course, it is to lock into the Fall Brawl 250 tomorrow night, but it's also going to be used as some sort of a practice session to gauge what you have to do during that Fall Brawl 250. Find the happy spot on the racetrack when it comes to those tires. You see drivers up in this battle for the podium right now. Alex Gretz, Caleb Hall, definitely pushing it a little bit more than some others in the field currently. But I think they've found the happy point where they're not necessarily wearing out the tires more than they want to be at this point, as Hall now trying to hold off Alex Gretz. Gretz keeps getting closer and closer each and every lap, but it looks like Caleb Hall might be a little bit better in that turns 3 and 4 portion of the racetrack, where Alex Gretz seems to be a little bit stronger in the first half of the lap. Is Gretz going to take another peek to the inside? I'm very impressed by Keith Jeffrey thus far here tonight. He wasn't necessarily the strongest car all week long, but he found his way into the picture in every event we've done thus far, as Gretz gets all over the rear end of Caleb Hall there, nearly contact for second. You can see the intensity ramping up already. We're nearly a third of the way through the event, and these drivers see in their mirror the likes of Keith Jeffrey and Richie Murray getting closer and closer and just about ready to pounce and work their way into those transfer spots.
Yeah, I like that point that you made about Keith Jeffrey there. That's one thing I've been learning as we've been going throughout the week. Of course, I said it on Monday night. I'm not really that much of a short track guy. I'm not into the short track scene as much as some others would be, and I'm kind of learning along with these guys on track, kind of learning what they're learning. And Keith Jeffrey has been one of those guys to me that just seems like he's Mr. Consistent. You know, he's running the consistent lap times. He may not be the fastest guy out there, running 16.8s right now compared to the leaders. Actually, he's running faster than the leaders who are running 16.9s right now. But as I was saying, he seems to be that more consistent figure when it comes to these races. He seems to be, just kind of there, if that makes sense in a way. He's there, and then once it comes down to go time, he may fall back a little bit, but he can, running that consistent this early on the race, he can almost guarantee himself a top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that Keith Jeffrey kind of reminds me of is the driver that shows up at your local short track, maybe one or two crew guys with him trying to keep up with the big dogs. And he's done a great job of it this week. And I hope to see him advance to the main here tomorrow night. We'll see what he can do. He currently does hold the spot that everyone else wants. And Richie Murray is closing the gap on the rear end as Alex Gretz takes a dive to the inside of Caleb Hall side by side for second. Hall with the advantage off of turn number 2, gets that bite up on the high side. Gretz still down on the inside. Looks like he's going to clear this time down in turn number 3 as a crossover move. Here comes Caleb Hall back to the inside. We mentioned intensity, and it has gone through the roof here as Caleb Hall went from second to third, back to second. Alex Gretz now trying to just hold on as Keith Jeffrey and Richie Murray all over his rear end, and Ryan Kuhn getting right back into the picture here. 30 laps in the books, 45 to go here on qualifying night.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive up and under for the 23 of Caleb Hall. You want to know how aggressively he cut it under that 17 at Alex Gretz? He almost hit the wall coming off of turn 4 there just to get under the 17. That's amazing how close you're able to get here and how close the margins can be, as these guys are just, it's only lap 30, and I say that in a kind of a dumb way because these guys know that it's starting to get closer and closer to go time, and that's why we're starting to see this intensity pick up. And right as I say that, Keith Jeffrey looking to the inside there for just a moment at the 17 of Alex Gretz, and it looks like he may get to the inside here coming off of turn 4.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, too, is a move like we saw Keith Hall make, the aggressive move from the high lane to the low lane, that's going to scrub your tires as well. So we have to watch that 23 and see if he's put him in too much as Gretz gets into the back of Keith Hall. Or Caleb Hall, already contact there between those drivers. No love lost thus far. Keith Jeffrey gets to the inside of Alex Gretz. Gretz now falling back into the clutches of Richie Murray. This is not what Alex Gretz wants. He has a line of cars behind him, does not want to get freight trained, so he's going to need to get a great run and clear back in front of Keith Jeffrey here. But Jeffrey doing exactly what he needs to do. He's trying to put a buffer between himself and that transfer position at this point, already approaching the halfway point, about 2 laps away from that. And it is currently Blake Thronberg, Caleb Hall, Alex Gretz, and Keith Jeffrey holding those spots. Gretz with a bit of an advantage here off of turn number 2. But Keith Jeffrey continues his strength on the inside, and Gretz probably starting to get a bit annoyed here. Contact between the 17 and the 88. That sends Keith Jeffrey back, and that's exactly what Alex Gretz needed to clear himself back into third.
Yeah, I'll tell you what that was. That was a 17 of Gretz getting really, really loose there in turn 2. And that reason is these guys are, that outside line, or excuse me, outside line may have a marginal advantage, as now we're seeing Ryan Kuhn getting past the 88 of Keith Jeffrey. But as I was saying, that outside line may have a marginal advantage, as now here comes Keith Jeffrey back to the inside of the big dog, Ryan Kuhn. And Still side by side here for this 5th position, and Kuhn's gonna get it there, that lap, but that outside line may have an advantage, as I was trying to say, but it's gonna burn your tires off slowly, and I think that's what that was the 17 of Gretz getting just a tiny bit loose and making a little bit of contact with the 88 of Keith Jeffrey.
You know, we haven't really mentioned the leader too much, Blake Thronberg, but he's pulled away from the field here as the battle does continue for second. That's where we have to keep our eyes right now. Caleb Hall, Alex Gretz all over the rear end of Caleb Hall once again, as you do see that beautiful Justin Brooks racing number 4 of Blake Thronberg on the screen. Started first, currently running first, and has led just about everything here thus far as Gretz gets to the inside of Caleb Hall. These two are going to be side by side once again, and one thing to keep in mind is Richie Murray all over the rear end of Gretz this time, so that will not give the 23 of Caleb Hall an opportunity to do the over-under as he did earlier today, but he's doing a nice job of pinching down on the Gretz machine as Gretz gets contact from behind. Richie Murray into the rear end of Alex Gretz, nearly sends him sideways. Great save, but that's opened the door here for Richie Murray as Alex Gretz slams it right in his face and continues on in position number 3, but here comes Ryan Kuhn.
Yeah, we got a pretty big dogfight here for your 4th and final transfer position. Right now held at the line by Ryan Kuhn. The 8 of Richie Murray to the inside now, and this is going to be our battle to watch for the majority of the night, as now Kuhn looks like he's going to get a really good run off the outside. Murray's going to go ahead and send it on the inside, but it doesn't look like it's going to work here, as now promote Ryan Kuhn into the main event. Provisionally, of course, we still have just under 30 laps to go in this heat race, but this is going to be where our battle's going to be, and it's only going to get hotter from here.
Absolutely. You see Ryan Kuhn closing that gap onto the 17 of Alex Gretz. He's going to want to work his way forward to try to put that buffer between himself and a trip to the LCQ. Nobody wants to go to the LCQ because you know that those are going to get absolutely wild, as it's the last opportunity for these drivers to advance to the Fall Brawl 250 tomorrow night. Gretz currently kind of being held up by Caleb Hall, as Hall doing exactly what he needs to do, making his car extra wide, currently running in that 2nd position. Gretz trying to get there. Richie Murray trying to get back to Ryan Kuhn. He's going to take a look to the inside. Kuhn slides up, Murray down to the inside. They're going to be side by side for the transfer spot. Ryan Kuhn with the advantage down the back straightaway. Richie Murray still has his nose in there though, and as you can see just behind them, Aaron Johnson trying to get into that picture as well. If Murray can keep Kuhn up on the high side, he could plug that hole with the Aaron Johnson machine and turn this into a freight train for Ryan Kuhn, which is going to send him in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you say that though, but we know Ryan Kuhn, he's been saving his tires all night, so he has a marginal advantage right now over the 8 of Richie Murray. But of course, this is not over yet. Richie Murray may have gotten past Ryan Kuhn there, and he's going to slot in front of the 78 of Aaron Johnson. But this is only the beginning of this battle right here. As we said it earlier, Ryan Kuhn saving his tires all night. He's going to be there at the end, and I think he's going to have a shot, not only the transfer, but maybe at the win here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what Ryan Kuhn can do here. We're coming around to 23 laps to go for Blake Thronberg. It's Thronberg, Hall, Gretz, and Murray currently your transfer positions. But Ryan Kuhn did something there on the back straightaway about 2 laps ago. Got himself to the bottom. Was able to clear the Aaron Johnson machine. Slot back to the inside. Gretz gets sideways right ahead of Richie Murray. That's going to put Murray down to the inside. Gretz up top. This is not what Alex Gretz wants at this point, but to continue my point there, Ryan Kuhn able to close off the possibility of getting freight trained by the cars behind him, because you can see Aaron Johnson, Elliott Carlson, and the Keith Jeffrey machine right back in the picture. So if you get up to that high side, as we see right here with Alex Gretz, you very well could get freight trained right out of that transfer spot.
Oh, as we actually have a caution on the track right now. I was just getting ready to say Alex Gretz was giving out hip checks for free there, as he gave one to Richie Murray during that side-by-side battle. I wonder what that caution was about.
I believe it's the 12 of Drew Krabick stopped on the front straightaway, was backwards. We'll take a look on the Maconi Entertainment replay machine here and see what brought out the caution with just 21 laps to go. on the front straightaway here at Five Flags Speedway, as you see the Drew Krabeck machine coming around and maybe heading pit side for some damage repair. No, he does stay out.
Yeah, I believe it may have just been a quick little self-spin for the 12 machine there. If we can get that replay going and get a look at this, I believe he was alone when he did spin. So I do think he may have just gotten a little bit too loose off of turn 4, as now looking at the replay. As he was backwards at one point. We saw that.
Look at how close that is to the leader, Blake Thronberg, though. We saw the Krabeck machine go for a slide. As we do get back to what happened there. Maybe got a little bit too low, Nick. Goes for a slide, possibly throttled up a little too soon. That was right in front of Blake Thronberg, our race leader.
Yeah, that was probably a bit of a brown pants moment for that 4 machine, and doesn't look like that 12 of Drew Krabeck has that much damage, as it was only a tiny little tap to the inside pit retaining wall there, so looks like the 12 may be able to continue, but that's definitely going to hurt the confidence of Drew Krabeck.
Absolutely, and he's going to have his work absolutely cut out for him here. Going to have to restart back in 16th position and work his way forward. It's going to be tough. I don't know that he can do it in the amount of laps that we do have left, but we'll see what Drew Krabeck can do. And of course, he wants to set himself up. Even if he doesn't make it up to a transfer, he wants to set himself up to a better starting spot in the LCQ.
Yeah, I do believe that the finishing order outside of 4th position is going to set the order for the LCQs. I don't know exactly how they're going to split that up, but hey, we're coming back to a restart here with 20 to go.
Blake Thronberg on the loud pedal. We are back underway. Up on the high side was Caleb Hall. Hall currently just behind him. Opens the door for Alex Gretz. Gretz to the inside of Hall. Side by side for second. And just behind them, we do have Richie Murray and Ryan Kuhn side by side. Kuhn on the inside of Richie Murray, currently in that transfer spot. Gretz gets a little bit slideways off of turn number 4. Gonna stay back on the inside of Caleb Hall, right on the nose of the Ryan Kuhn machine. Kuhn and Gretz teammates here in the SARA series, as Gretz going to try to get back behind Caleb Hall. Here goes for a slide once again. That opens the door for Richie Murray up on the high side. This battle for the transfer definitely heating up at this point, as those tires starting to go away for these drivers. Gretz nearly hooks himself off the nose of Richie Murray.
Yeah, Gretz is struggling right now, as he's going to get a lot sideways there. A lot slideways, as they're going to be 3 wide now for the transfer position. Ryan Kuhn and I believe that was the 8 of Richie Murray are going to get to the inside of the 17 of Alex Gretz. And Alex Gretz finding himself going from 3rd to 6th really quick there.
Yeah, that was a penthouse to outhouse moment there for Alex Gretz. Was in a transfer spot, now on the outside looking in. Currently up on the high side of the Aaron Johnson machine. Johnson on his inside. Richie Murray holding on to the final transfer spot currently with 15 to go. But the caution back out once again, and it's a multi-car incident off of turn number 4.
Looks like maybe Drew Krabeck was involved once again. Krabeck, sorry about that. I don't actually know he was not involved in that.
Yeah, I believe Jeffrey Souza was involved in that one. I may be wrong. Well,
it was Kyle Souza that was originally spun, I believe.
Jeffrey Souza was in it. I believe Devin Rogers. Devin Rogers just missed it. Rick Rube was in it. Jeffrey Souza was in it, as was Kyle Souza. So a family affair gone wrong there for the Souzas. As we look here on the Maconi Entertainment replay machine, Nick, let's see what happened to the Souzas and the 81 of Rick Rube.
Yeah, coming up off of turn 4. I believe this happened a lap later, but just an absolute dogfight here for, I believe this is around the 8th, 9th, 10th position area. As going into turn 3, Rick Rube getting to the inside here, and it doesn't look like he checked up in time, as that's going to send the 7 of Kyle Souza around. Jeffrey Souza involved, getting up into the air there off the nose of the 16, and oh man, Krabeck just barely missing that on the inside.
Yeah, Drew Krebick just missing another incident there. The Noah Boucher machine was the car that ended up underneath his competitor towards the rear of the field in that one. I believe all the drivers able to continue on. Looking at the nose of that Noah Boucher machine, it has definitely seen better days on that Cadillac that Boucher is currently behind the wheels of. And speaking of odd manufacturers here on these late models, it was pointed out to me before the race tonight that Alex Gretz is running a Honda Civic here tonight.
Hey, does he have a laptop in the front seat of that thing? Because then that would make it a real Honda Civic.
We might be playing some Fast and Furious here, and we got the madman Jesse behind the wheel there playing with the laptop, messing around with all the settings and trying to get the most out of these cars. Looks like we're gearing up for a restart here. Thronberg and Hall side by side. Blake Thronberg with another fantastic restart to get himself clear of the Caleb Hall machine. Just behind them is where we find Ryan Kuhn and Richie Murray. Alex Gretz clears back into that fifth spot, chasing down the Richie Murray machine. He's one spot away from getting back into a transfer, and you know that the intensity and aggression levels are about to go through the roof as we see Jake Grout joining the picture currently there in that sixth spot. Ryan Kuhn, though, all over the rear end of Caleb Hall trying to work his way forward, and you mentioned it, he may have a good shot at the victory here in the qualifier as caution back out once again.
Looks like that's the 88 of Keith Jeffrey involved.
Keith Jeffrey involved, was running very strong early on. He had some help, I believe, from the 25 of Devin Rogers. Actually gets into the back of Elliot Carlson, and that turns into a big stack of about 5 or 6 cars involved as we take a look on the Maconi Entertainment replay machine here, Nick. You see the 09 of Elliot Carlson checks up a little bit. Keith Jeffrey gets into the back of that machine, upsets his 88 machine. Devin Rogers into his rear end. There's Jeffrey Souza on scene as well. The 16 of Noah Boucher. We see the 12 of Drew Krabich comes to a stop. And just numerous cars that were just involved in our latest incident involved in this one as well. Just wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, and if we could play that back again at full speed, we watched that in slow motion. I just want to play that entire sequence once again, just so we could show how quickly things happen here, especially at short track racing. Like, if we just take a look at this, look how fast this wreck happens. You see the checkup, and one moment you're good, next thing you know, 4 or 5 cars are sideways on the exit of turn 4, and that's just how fast things can happen here.
Yeah, and just as quick as we had the multi-car incident, it cleared itself right up, everyone able to get going once again. Keith Jeffrey did take it pit side in his 88 machine, was having a really strong run. I would expect this 88 to be a contender when it comes to the LCQs a little bit later on, if he's not able to work his way back up, because of course in these qualifiers and the LCQs tonight, only green flag racing will count, so he will not go a lap down by visiting his pit crew.
Yeah, and once he gets those repairs done, that 88 should be rocking, as you said, in the LCQ tonight. So we are coming to another restart here, and I do expect intensity to pick up almost tenfold here. Absolutely. As these guys are within almost 10 laps to go here.
We do have Blake Thronberg back on the loud pedal. Great restart for that 4 machine. It's Caleb Hall just behind him. Ryan Kuhn, Richie Murray, and Alex Gretz. That's the top 5. As Gretz gets to the inside of Richie Murray, that's your battle for the transfer. Murray on the high side, Gretz down low. Gretz with the advantage here off of turn number 4. But Richie Murray getting a great run down the front straightaway. Gretz looks like he's about to clear the Richie Murray machine down the back straight, but Murray picking up a bit of draft there off the Caleb Hall machine. Gretz now clears into 4th, so the battle going to pick up here. As you know, Richie Murray going to want that spot back here with just 11 laps to go.
And I'll tell you what, Caleb Hall in the 23 machine, he's in the wrong place right now. He is stuck on that outside, and if he doesn't get down to that inside line very soon, he's going to find himself out of a transfer spot as he's side by side for 3rd position now with the 17 of Alex Gretz. And right behind him, you see Richard Murray as they're going to make a little bit of contact. Gretz and Hall making contact. That's going to allow Hall to get back to the inside line. And now Alex Gretz under fire from the 8 of Richie Murray is now into turn 1. Murray thought about a move, but he thinks better of it, decides to hold on for just a moment and maybe give himself another opportunity later in this race.
9 laps now, 8 to go. It's Blake Thronberg, Ryan Kuhn, Caleb Hall, and Alex Gretz in the transfer spots. Here comes the 8 of Richie Murray to the rear end of Alex Gretz. He's thinking about using that bumper. Goes for a bit of a wiggle down the back straightaway, does Murray. He's going to fall back into potentially the clutches of Jake Grout in car 49. I've seen Grout hit the wall in the front straight 2-3 laps in a row, but that just shows how much he is pushing it as Gretz opens the outside just a little bit. Now he looks to the inside of Caleb Hall. Here comes Richie Murray to the high side of Gretz. Murray now trapped with the 23 of Caleb Hall. A little bit slower ahead of them there. Gretz nearly hits the inside wall as he's side by side with Caleb Hall. 3-car battle for that final transfer spot. Contact between Gretz and Murray. Here comes Grout.
Yep. Grout coming into this battle as these two are still side by side for this transfer position. Now Murray on the back foot. That's going to allow Jake Grout into this battle. He gets to the inside of the 8 of Richie Murray, and they're going to make a little bit of contact. Grout's going to go sliding. He saves it somehow. Oh my goodness, that 49 dead sideways off of turn 4 there, and now that allows Richie Murray to get back on the front foot here to try and get that transfer spot back from the 17 of Gretz. As Gretz is really loose, does this allow Richie Murray to make a move to the inside? He waits a little bit longer as they're coming towards 2 laps to go here.
Popsicle sticks getting ready to come out of the freezer, just about to be in the air. 2 laps to go. Blake Thronberg leads us right now, but Gretz under pressure here from Richie Murray. Murray on the inside. Gretz is going to have to battle back, trying to hold off Murray and that 49 of Jake Grout. You know Grout's going to get in there, potentially use that bumper to move the Murray machine up the racetrack. White flag displayed. 1 lap to go. Here comes Jake Grout looking to the inside of Richie Murray, not able to get there. Continuing to watch the battle as Gretz and Murray come together. Jake Grout to the transfer spot. Grout going to be able to clear. Looks like Blake Thronberg going to take the checkered flag here in qualifying heat race number 2. Ryan Kuhn second. Caleb Hall in third. And Jake Grout going to pick up the final transfer spot out of heat race number 2. Noah Boucher, Drew Krabick, Jeffrey Souza, Aaron Johnson, Keith Jeffrey, Devin Rogers, Alex Gretz, Richie Murray, Elliot Carlson, Rick Rube, William Griffith, and Kyle Souza going to have to go through the LCQ. And Nick, I just got updates from the other 2 qualifiers. Your drivers advancing directly to the A main from race number 1, Jonathan Atkins, James Pileski, Jacob Hayes, and Spencer Dickinson. And race number 2, Connor Blaze, Willie Howells, Dylan Bates, and Dylan Calabro. Those are the drivers moving on directly to the Fall Brawl 250. Meanwhile, in this one, it's Thronberg, Kuhn, Hall, and Grout. Everyone else to the LCQs.
Oh man, that is a heartbreaking way to lose a spot in the transfer for Richie Murray. As man, it was just the tightest of margins between Gretz and Murray, and both of them had really hard hits to the outside wall there. Let's go and look at a replay here, as this was just 2 incredibly hard hits here for both Gretz and Murray. As right now, 2 to go through turns 3 and 4. These 2 are getting at it. And what sets this whole thing off is Jake Grout looks to the inside for a possible 3-wide move. And I think that scares Gretz a little bit into a mistake as he gets loose on the outside, collects Richie Murray, and just an absolute heinous hit for both Gretz and Richie Murray. The 25 getting involved as well. The 25 being Devin Rogers, and man, just a heartbreaking way to lose a transfer spot like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So close all night long. Richie Murray, Alex Gretz were in and out of that transfer spot basically from the drop of the green flag here tonight. Now going to have to go through the LCQ. And they're going to be starting fairly deep in those LCQs as well, which is definitely a disappointment for them, knowing that only the top 3 from those LCQs will, in fact, transfer. to the Fall Brawl 250 tomorrow night. Does look like we have a couple drivers standing by here for some interviews, including the winner of qualifying heat race number 1, Jonathan Adkins. Why don't we go ahead and pull him up and maybe he can walk us through what happened in his race?
Jonathan Atkins, Nick Stein, and Robert Hill up in the booth, man. We heard that you won qualifying heat race number 1. Go ahead and walk us through what happened in that first heat.
Well, we started second. I was a little bit worried about getting hung out on the top, and I was able to roll my way around the third place starter and fall out in third after a few laps, and then we just pestered the leader there as long as we could, and finally got up underneath him and made the move and drove away. I felt like we had a pretty good long run car if we could just settle in and not get freight trained on the beginning. So happy we could do that.
Looking ahead to tomorrow night, you log yourself into the main event for the Fall Brawl 250. How are you feeling heading into that one, knowing you're not going to have to deal with the LCQ tonight?
Well, it definitely makes it a lot easier. Not having to worry about another race and what could happen and getting wrecked and all those things. But you know, there's a lot of tough competition already locked in that race, and a lot that are still locking themselves in tonight. So it's a long race, and it's going to be patience and trying not to get involved in somebody else's mess, and hopefully we can come away with a good finish.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win, Jonathan Adkins. I'm going to go ahead and head you off to Robert Hill, to see if he has any questions for you.
Jonathan, congratulations on the victory in qualifying race number 1. You started on the outside pole in that one alongside the Reagan Perron machine. What was the key to your success here tonight, and what can you take from this qualifier to put towards tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250?
I think we've the set we have really gets in the corner well. I was able to dive bomb him, for lack of better words, a couple times, and maybe help him move up the track a little bit and get the lead. Outside of that, the top here is just not very good. The bottom is so dominant. So, I'm happy that I'm going to start on the inside, and hopefully the restarts fall that I stay on the inside. But that's going to be a big factor. So, other than that, I did kind of build a little bit tight. So we're going to free the car up a little bit for the longer run tomorrow and throw some fuel in it and see where we can end up.
Absolutely. And before we let you go here tonight, Jonathan, maybe go watch the LCQs or relax for the rest of your evening. You have any sponsors you want to thank or shout outs you want to give?
Yep. First off, I'd like to thank my smoking hot wife for letting me do this, and my kids, who I actually got one sitting in my lap now watching Lion King. So that's what we're going to do for the rest of the night. And then Shock Eye Performance, Miller Family Trucking, Studio 10. That should do it.
Well, congratulations, Jonathan, on your victory, and we look forward to seeing what you can do tomorrow night in the Fall Brawl 250.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
That was Jonathan Adkins, your winner from qualifying heat race number 1. We do have Caleb Hall standing by, runner-up here in qualifying heat race number 2. Caleb, it's Robert Hill Jr. and Nick Stein up here in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, Caleb came home second in the qualifier here tonight. Actually, third. I do apologize there. Third, looks like you were falling off a little bit towards the tail of that race. Why don't you walk us through your race here tonight and what you had to do to lock yourself into tomorrow night's main event?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that I was taking care of the right rear. I never felt it slide or anything. And then Alex got to me and he wanted to play hero. So I let him go. Then I crossed him over and then got back to me, lifted me up. And that's when first time I got sideways. And then we just had to maintain from there. I won one of the qualifying heats last year, and it's actually helped me because once again, I've realized that I'm way too loose. So I think once we snug it up, we should be fine tomorrow.
And speaking of that battle with Gretz, we saw you do a very aggressive crossover, went from high side to low side to get back at him there. Is that something we might be able to expect from you tomorrow night in the Fall Brawl 250?
If there's a movie to be made, I'll probably make it. I mean, I wasn't gonna trash Alex. I was just when I told him that I was gonna let him go, I just crossed him back over just to irritate him a little bit. But I mean, I think he irritated a few guys. He almost right rear hooked Blake on lap one. It got into me. Then apparently someone told me that he wrecked some guy for the transfer on the last lap. So I think I think we'll be a whole lot more calm tomorrow because 250 laps will take forever. So I mean, there'll be a little bit of aggression at the start, but then you'll just see a bunch of follow the leader stuff, and then about the last 50, you'll be on the edge of your seat.
Well, Caleb, I'm going to hand you over here to Nick and see if Nick has any questions for you. But congratulations on transferring to tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250.
Thank you.
Well, Caleb, of course, you mentioned that tomorrow is just kind of going to be follow the leader all night. What's your plan for tomorrow night? I know you guys, I think you guys are going to have to take tires and fuel tomorrow as well. So is there any plans that you can share with us for that?
I mean, we're going to have to do both, of course. It's just going to be kind of a deal of I'm sure Alex will lead most of the race with him starting on the pole, and he's got some team ups up there, so I'm sure they'll fall in line and we'll just ride for a while. So probably I'll pull down whenever the one car pulls down. I will say that. Uh, there's a few things you can do in the pit stop in these cars that a few groups have figured out over testing this week that you'll see a lot of us do, and might throw you for a tad bit of a loop. But yeah, I mean, it's really just honestly these racers just follow the leader and hope you got the best stuff for the last 50.
Well, congratulations on P3 tonight, Caleb. I'll go ahead and let you go back over to Robert in case he has one more question for you.
Yeah, Caleb, just before we let you go here tonight, any sponsors or shout outs you want to give here tonight?
Yeah, I gotta thank Riker Performance and Motorsports. We build setups over there. Aftershock Setup Solutions, all my group of guys that have helped me for this race and the EPI Derby coming up. TH2 Tire Solutions, Gossip Bus Lines, and then all the partners we have back at the Performance Shop. I just gotta thank all of them and all the guys that have just helped me this week. Jackson and Timmy mainly. Just figuring the car out for exit, and we still got a little bit more work to do, but I think we'll get it right for tomorrow.
Well, we wish you the best of luck tomorrow night, and we hope to see you back here on the podium talking to us after the Fall Brawl 250. Congratulations.
All right, thank you guys.
That was Caleb Hall, our third place finisher here tonight in heat race number 2. We do have Ryan Kuhn, the runner up from this heat race, standing by in the transfer room. Why don't we go ahead and pull him up here and have a chat about his race? Ryan, it's Robert Hill Jr. and Nick Stein up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Ryan, you had a strong run here tonight, came home second. We saw your strategy Monday night where you kind of started falling towards the rear, maybe saving those tires, and then when it came down to go time, you absolutely pounced. Was that your game plan here tonight? And is that kind of what we can expect from you tomorrow night as well?
Yeah, I mean, tonight I just kind of, all we need to do is finish in the top 4, and I knew we'd be in. I was saving a little bit early. Really hard to pass, but once the guys started burning their stuff up a little bit, it was a little easier to pass. And then at the end, I just kind of just rode to finish second. I knew I wasn't going to catch them, or if I did, I'd burn my stuff up. So settled for second there. It'll put us, give or take, I don't know, somewhere in the top 15 for the big show, and yeah, it should be a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking tonight into account as well as Monday night's weekly shootout, what can you take from those two events that can help set you up for tomorrow night's race? Maybe some things you have to work on setup wise or even driving wise heading into the big event.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different tomorrow with the strategies. I think that's really what it's going to come down to is when you're going to pit and when you're going to put on your tires, and it's hard to judge, but it gives you a good idea of what people have tonight. And I thought we had a really good piece. Like I said the other night, I haven't been around as much, and I'm a little rusty, but I think we're coming back, and hopefully we're going to bring it home tomorrow.
Well, Ryan, before we send you off here tonight, any shout outs you want to give or sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, first off, my real life sponsors, Everett's Auto Parts. We're on board for next year, and we're going to run part time here and there and pass an ACT. So I can't thank them enough for coming on board once again. Uh, Peter Bernier, Modern Auto Body, everyone at RKM Setup Shop, my guys stuck with me and did a lot of testing for this race, and it's been good. Coastal Heritage Bank, you guys in the booth, Matt, and the guys for putting this whole deal on, and should be a good one tomorrow night.
Well, Ryan, congratulations on a great run here tonight, and we look forward to seeing what you can do tomorrow night in the main event.
Thanks, guys.
That was Ryan Kuhn, our runner-up here in heat race number 2. We do have to step away here for a couple minutes, guys. Get over to the LCQ so we can bring you that coverage. So be sure to stay tuned here on Maconi Entertainment. We'll be right back in a couple minutes taking you through the LCQ to set the final few spots in the Fall Brawl 250. Don't go anywhere. And we are back. Here it is, SARA Next Gen Templates qualifying night here on Maconi Entertainment. We just wrapped up qualifying race number 2, where it was Blake Thronberg taking the victory in that one, and now setting us up here for LCQ number 1. We'll try to bring you updates from LCQ number 2 as well, as that one's going to be running simultaneously with us here. But, Nick, we do have Blake Thronberg standing by in the transfer room. Why don't we bring him up now and have a chat about his qualifying race? Blake, it's Robert Hill Jr. and Nick Stein up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Going well, and I'm sure it's going well with you. Also, you locked yourself in through the qualifier, dominating qualifying heat race number 2. Why don't you walk us through your race and maybe what you had that some of the others didn't?
Oh yeah, well, lap 1, turn 3, that was a little sketchy. I think it was a little bit of net code when Alex got in my right rear and I kind of hit Caleb. I thought it was going to be pretty bad for us. Kind of saved me when I kind of hit Caleb's rear end a little bit and knocked me back down the track so I could gather it up. But then once I got around Caleb, appreciate him for racing me clean. And got out to a lead. I was just trying to hit lap times. I knew, done some testing. I knew what I could, how long my tires will hold up if I hit certain lap times and kept the right rear up under it. And like I said, when I got out to, I think it was 1.3 lead, I was just trying to match lap times with the guys behind me, waiting on a late race caution, just saving as best as I can, but keeping up my pace.
Now, you've been Mr. Excitement all week long, kind of finding yourself in different lines that not necessarily everyone would be running the high lane when everyone else was down low, maybe running that middle lane a little bit tighter than some others as well, and you've just had a really strong week here, except for qualifying yesterday where you found yourself on the outside looking in. But looking ahead to tomorrow night, you're starting... I believe you're going to start about 12th here for the main event tomorrow night. Do you think you have a good shot at taking home the victory, or what do you think your expectations are heading into tomorrow?
Man, this being my first time running these, big race like this. I haven't been on the sim long, but running with these, the best. These are the best of the best in short track. All the guys at RKM and EPI in the shop, and unfortunately, I'm probably going to be the only Zeems driver in this race, but man, just trying to learn as much as I can. Shooting for, completing all the laps in a top 10 finish. I know that's kind of probably setting the bar a little low, but like I said, it's my first time here. Kind of psyched myself out last night, waiting for all them cars qualifying, and then I was telling the guy that helped me out. I said, "Man, the first lap, I don't even remember it. I know it's just a video game, but or a sim. I'm sorry, but yeah, man." Yeah, just completing all the laps and just, learning as much as I can. Got a good group of guys behind me, give me a rocket ship and helping me out and kind of coaching me through, these long endurance races. But just going to probably pick a guy to ride behind, set the same pace as them, and then, see what I got there at the end. And, hey, if we're up front and we got a chance to win it, we're going to go for it. But we're not going to drive over our heads to do anything. Like I said, just finish the race and just gain as much experience as you can.
Definitely sounds like you have realistic and smart expectations heading into tomorrow. And you mentioned the guys behind you, Blake. Why don't you take this chance, give any shout-outs, thank any sponsors. The floor is yours.
Yeah, Zeem Setup Shop, Kenny, Lennon Rapp, Dustin Marquette, them guys have, like I said, they've helped me out a ton. Thronberg Construction, D&T Racing. Man, my wife especially let me come down here and spend countless hours on this sim right here. The man upstairs, you guys for doing a absolutely great job in the booth and broadcasting this thing, and Matt Rolfe and all the guys over at SARA for putting on this.
Well, Blake, congratulations on a great run here tonight, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow in the Fall Brawl 250.
Thank you, man. Y'all have a good evening.
You as well. That was Blake Thronberg, winner of qualifying heat race number 2, Nick, as we are rolling here for LCQ number 1. Why don't you run us through the starting lineup?
Yes, sir, I got you. Starting first tonight is going to be Dante Curtis in the 0-3. And starting second tonight, the 33 is Steele Langford. Drew Krybik in the 12, starting in third position, with Brian Tedeschi in the 29, starting fourth. Fifth position tonight is going to belong to the 8 of John Ouellette, with Aaron Johnson rounding out row number 3. Dallas Pataska, in the 23 is going to be starting 7th, with Colin Murphy in the 9th, starting 8th. Devin Rogers in the 25, starting 9th, and Kieran Church starting in 10th in the 22 machine.
And we are underway. Green flag is out here. LCQ number 1. Of course, this is 60 laps. All green flag racing here tonight. Top 3 will advance to tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. So as of right now, Drew Krybik has the spot that everyone else wants, but you know that this is going to be an absolute long one. As we look a little bit towards the midfield, Dallas Pataska, Colin Murphy battling it out is just ahead of them. We do see the 8 of John Ouellette going to the inside of the 12 of Drew Krybik. Brian Tedeschi did get ahead of them there. Tedeschi up to 3rd now. Krybik back to 4th. John Ouellette currently running in that 5th spot. So a bit of a jumble up in the top 5 as we do see the 23 of Pataska taking a look to the inside of John Ouellette, now to the nose of the Colin Murphy machine. A bit of a stack up in the middle of that top 10.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that this race is going to be a lot more high stakes than the qualifying heat races were, and we're already seeing that, as we've already seen multiple sideways moments from multiple different cars tonight, and it's only lap 5 tonight, remember, Robert, so these guys are definitely having that mindset of, I want 3rd position and I want in the Fall Brawl 250, so things are only going to get a lot more aggressive from here.
Yeah, aggression level definitely going to be through the roof here. I'm watching Dallas Pataska and John Ouellette duking it out here for that 5th spot. Pataska on the inside, Ouellette up top now. Ouellette going to fall back just a little bit. Nearly made contact there with Colin Murphy. Murphy on the inside of Ouellette. Pataska nearly hooks himself off of there. They have to be careful. Close quarter racing at a tight racetrack doesn't always pay off. Caution out here already. Let's take a look and see who it is. That's the 8 machine of Richie Murray. Murray was involved in a late race incident in our qualifier earlier tonight with Alex Gretz. Now finds himself in that first caution, as we'll try to get the replay loaded up here on the Maconi Entertainment replay machine.
I believe the 22 of Kieran Church was involved in that as well, as I saw him sideways right at the end of that as well. Looked like a really hard hit for the both of them, almost a carbon copy of what we saw at the end of qualifying race number 2. As looking at the replay here, yeah, exactly what a carbon copy of what happened at the end of qualifying race 2. Kieran Church getting turned to the outside by the 8 of Richie Murray, and just an absolutely hellacious hit for the 22 there.
And both of those drivers, Nick, do have meatball flags indicating that they have required damage, effectively taking them out of contention here in this qualifier, or in this LCQ. And they're going to have to rely on the possibility of maybe getting one of those 3 provisionals to lock into tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. I believe Richie Murray qualified rather decently in time trials yesterday, so potentially could lean back on that top qualifying provisional.
Yeah, that's not something you want to lean on, though, especially this late into the event tonight. So Richie Murray, as you said, having to rely on that provisional, which is not a place you want to be in, especially when there's so little spots left to transfer into the Fall Brawl 250. But Steele Langford, though, not a name we've called that much this week, Robert. He's up in the lead here to start LCQ1.
Yeah, we saw Steele Langford, I believe it was Monday night in the shootout, kind of come out of nowhere a little bit late, work his way forward, and we're going to see what he can do here tonight in this one, currently leading the way in that 33 machine. Very nice paint scheme on board of that 33 of Steele Langford, but paint scheme doesn't matter if the car's not too quick, and Steele Langford does have some speed under the hood of that thing.
Yeah, we saw him in the weekly race earlier this week. He kind of started from the back and just really wasn't that much of a factor. But I think that Steel Langford racing machine out of North Carolina, I think he may be hiding something under the hood for race night tomorrow.
Now, I was talking with one of my former iRacing teammates, and this guy has spotted just about everything in the real world late model world. Brandon Wilkinson, he's in here watching his teammates Brian Tedeschi and Drew Krabick, both of those drivers currently battling for that final transfer spot. We're going to have to watch teammates duke it out to work their way into the big show here tomorrow night as we're back on our way. Steel Langford on the loud pedal, slow start for Dante Curtis as he falls back in nearly contact there with Krabick and Pataska as caution flag back out already here. Looks like a stack up on the restart led to Tyler Rice having an incident out here on the racetrack. We'll pull that one up on the Maconi Entertainment replay machine, but not sure what actually happened there.
I think it was the 9 of Colin Murphy involved in that. I saw him sideways at one point, but he seemed to have been having some connection issues, so maybe that had something to do with it.
I think that's exactly what it was, because looking back on it here, yeah, oh, that's so unfortunate for Murphy and for the field, really, to have a caution based off of just a connection. But unfortunately, that's kind of part of the game when it comes to iRacing. Sometimes you do have an issue with your connection, and it leads to the sim reading you as being sideways.
Yeah, unfortunate there, but that's going to give these guys that had a little bit of troubles on that restart another chance at being able to rack it back up, so to speak, and maybe have a better restart here. We saw the 0-3 of Dante Curtis. He had a bit of an iffy start there and almost got passed for the second position by Brian Tedeschi, so a bit of a lucky break for the 0-3, and hopefully he'll be able to get it going once again.
Yeah, Nick, while we're under caution here, I want to take a chance to give a quick shout out to one of our producers here at Maconi Entertainment, Ryan Bauer, celebrating his 41st birthday here tonight. So happy birthday, Ryan, from all of us here at Maconi. It's always exciting when we get to celebrate our good friends.
Yeah, I personally don't know Ryan Bauer, but from what I've heard, he's a really good guy. So happy birthday, man. You may not know me, but hey, I'll go and send happy birthday wishes your way anyway.
We're all one big family, Nick. He's your cousin, much like cousin Christian up here, pushing the 1s and 2s here for us tonight on this broadcast. 8 laps in the books. Quick run through of your top 10. Steel Langford, Dante Curtis, Brian Tedeschi. That is your transfer spot. Drew Krabick, Dallas Pataska, John Willett, Kyle Martinson, Aaron Johnson, Brad Carpenter, and Devin Rogers, the top 10, with still 53 laps to go. Of course, only green flag laps counting here. So every caution we do get, as Christian sends his happy birthday message across the screen there to Ryan.
Oh man, you gotta love the Microsoft Paint integration there, because you can't tell me that wasn't made in Microsoft Paint on the fly. Tell me that wasn't. Our producer gives us a quick shush over the mic. Man, sometimes I wish you could hear what our producers say, but sometimes it's a good thing that you can't hear them. But hey, I believe we are coming back to a restart here.
Yes, we are. On the inside, Steel Langford. On the outside, Dante Curtis. Watch for that 0-3 to have a stronger restart this time. Langford on the loud pedal already. Curtis, again, hesitant to get on that loud pedal. That opens the door to the Brian Tedeschi machine on the inside. Tedeschi now going forward. We're about to be 3 wide here with the 12 of Drew Krabick and the 23 of Dallas Pataska as they make contact. Pataska gets sideways. That jumbles up the top 10 here as now the 12 of Krabick gets back to the inside of the Dante Curtis machine. Curtis now falling back to the clutches of Dallas Pataska. The 8 of John Willett opens up the door. Kyle Martinson took a look to the inside, not able to get there that time as the side-by-side does continue there for that 4th spot between Pataska and Curtis.
Another case of going from the penthouse to the outhouse there for Dante Curtis in the 03, restarting second there. Now he's fighting for his life for sixth position now with the 8 of John Ouellette, and it looks like he's going to get the inside there as the 8 of John Ouellette almost getting turned by the 07 of Kyle Martinson. Things are kicking off here back for around fifth position is now Dante Curtis is to the inside of Dallas Pataska, and this is our battle for fourth position. Not a transfer spot, remind you, as third place is that transfer position.
Yeah, this is exactly what Drew Krabeck wants to see. Dallas Pataska and Dante Curtis battling side by side for a position that really doesn't mean too much here tonight. But again, this is a long race, still 47 laps to go. You're going to want to stay as close to the front as you possibly can as Pataska slides back just a little bit now. John Ouellette goes to his inside. It's Pataska up top, Ouellette on the inside. Ouellette gets a little bit sideways, nearly makes contact with Dallas Pataska. It's just behind them. Aaron Johnson does clear the 07 of Kyle Martinson. Martinson now going to look to the inside of the Aaron Johnson machine. Thinks better of it as the battle just ahead of them does continue between John Ouellette and Dallas Pataska. Pataska up top, Ouellette on the inside. That is your closest battle currently on the racetrack up here in that top 10 as Pataska now falls back into the clutches of Aaron Johnson. Johnson going to get behind John Ouellette, and that is a three-car battle for the fifth position right now here on lap number 17.
One of the harder battles that we've seen throughout the week so far. These three guys all trying to catch back up to that transfer position, as now we look ahead of this as Dante Curtis is closing in quickly on that transfer position, still having our eyes on the popcorn seat of the 07 of Kyle Martinson, who's just watching all of this unfold in through his windshield, as now the 23 of Dallas Pataska gets clear and gets to the inside. He will stop losing positions for now and almost stop the bleeding, as now he's going to throw a block on the 07 of Kyle Martinson and try to stop him from losing this many positions, as now there's a caution on the racetrack.
Devin Rogers around towards the tail of the field in the middle of turns 1 and 2, trying to get that 25 machine spun back around. We'll take a look and see what happened to him here on the Maconi Entertainment replay machine. Not sure if he had any help going around there. Just ahead of him, actually, the 81 of Rick Rube went around, and that caused a bit of a chain reaction.
Yeah, looking at this replay here, as you said, Rick Rube getting turned off the nose of the 31, setting off that chain reaction that allowed the 25 to be turned on the outside of turn 1 there.
That 31 being Brad Carpenter. Of course, he was the final driver to go out for qualifying last night. Didn't put down the lap that he wanted, but as we take another look here, you see the 31 of Carpenter dive to the inside of Rick Rube. A fair bit of net code there in that contact as well. As we see, I believe that to be the Tyler Rice machine got jacked up in that incident as well. So 4 cars going around in that one, and a bit of damage for each of them as pit road starting to get busier here on lap number 19 of this LCQ.
And you notice, I noticed something there on that replay as the 25 at Devin Rogers was getting turned around. Steele Langford almost hit him as they were slowing down for that caution. So a bit of a close call for your LCQ leader right now.
Both races we've covered here tonight, we have seen close calls for the leader with cars spun around. And if I recall correctly, I believe it might have been Devin Rogers in the qualifier as well ahead of Blake Thronberg. So he's had a couple close calls with leaders here tonight.
No, I believe in the qualifying race, it was actually the person in your one transfer spot, Drew Krybish.
Yes, that's right. Now, it was the Drew Krabeck machine that did go around on the front straightaway. Devin Rogers actually spun in that incident as well, but was a little bit further back. Now finds himself out of the race. He has retired the car for the day. As we see a couple cars exiting pit road, that is the 31 machine of Brad Carpenter, the 44 of Bob Belshaw exiting as well. Steele Langford continuing to lead over Brian Tedeschi and Drew Krabeck. That is your top 3 currently that are looking to transfer to the Fall Brawl 250 tomorrow night, which will take place right here on Maconi Entertainment. And speaking of Maconi Entertainment, for all of your broadcasting needs, be sure to reach out to Maconi Entertainment. Jeff and the team will work with you to put a package together and see what we can do to work some magic together and get you on air here, right here on Maconi Entertainment. It looks like we're going to get set to go green this time. Base cars off, Steel Langford on the loud pedal, but a stronger... Actually, I thought it was a stronger restart there for Tennessee on the outside, but that outside lane really not getting the greatest of restarts here so far tonight.
Well, in terms of what we've seen throughout the week on restarts for that second place car, it was pretty strong as he was able to get to the inside and avoid losing a ton of positions like we saw the 0-3 of Dante Curtis do. Speaking of Dante Curtis, he is now side by side with the 12 machine of Drew Krabick for your transfer position right now. And it looks like Krabick will get the better of the 0-3 as now the 0-3 is under attack. As I say that, the 12 getting incredibly loose, and he's going to get turned into turn 1. A lot of cars getting taken out here.
That was 3 strong cars right there. Aaron Johnson involved in that one. Drew Krabick and John Ouellette all going around. Ouellette went to the inside of Krabick, sent Krabick around, and that collected the Aaron Johnson machine. So 3 of our strong drivers just involved in an incident right there on the racetrack here at Five Flags Speedway. So some implications when it comes to the transfer spot.
Yeah, things getting interesting there as, man, Drew Krabick cannot catch a break. Looking at the Maconi Entertainment replay here, the 12 getting incredibly sideways off of turn 4 there, and it looks like the 8 just didn't check up there and kind of caused that entire situation as that sends the 78 Aaron Johnson, Dallas Pataska involved. A couple of other good cars. That was Bob, the 44 involved in that as well.
John Ouellette leaving the scene just decided, well, I'm not going to back up and go around you. I'm just going to go under you. And he drives under the 12 of Drew Krabick to move him out of the way.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Quite interesting tactics there, I will say, is that's effectively going to possibly end the race of Drew Krabick there and end his run at the Fall Brawl 250 as he's going to pull it down pit road and try to get some of those repairs. And I mean, we've seen people that have been involved in accidents early on. They're still outside the top 10. Of course, Richie Murray involved in that huge wreck with Kieran Church on lap, I believe it was lap 3. Richie Murray, he's still on the lead lap, but he's still sitting down in 13th with a good bit of damage on that 8 machine.
Yeah, this should move Richie Murray back into the top 10 with this incident. We saw Aaron Johnson make a quick visit to pit road in that number 78 machine back out on the racetrack, though. So probably a bit less damage than he anticipated and felt that it was just better off for him to get back out there right away. You can see some damage to that right side door, maybe a little bit on the left front as well. The nose looking a little pushed in on Aaron Johnson's machine, so definitely seen better days on that 78, but at this point you really just have to go for it. We still have 39 laps to go. Might seem like quite a few laps, but it's really not a lot of time to get back up to the front.
Yeah, if it goes green, 39 laps at Five Flags Speedway is a very, very quick time. If you're averaging about 16 seconds a lap under green flag conditions, yeah, these guys are going to knock out 39 laps very quickly if it goes green.
And just an update here, Nick, it does look like the administrative team has ruled the 12 of Drew Krabick at fault for that incident. So I believe they're thinking it was a bit of a domino effect based off of him getting a bit sideways on the front straightaway.
Albeit an interesting call, I do agree, as that is a green flag restart here.
We are back underway. Looks like Brian Tedeschi got a good restart, but the 33 of Langford didn't, so Tedeschi had to back off to make sure he didn't beat him. Oh my gosh, everyone's around. That's a big one.
That was a car upside down there, the 44 of Bob Belshaw.
And he's driving away.
Oh, okay. I believe I saw another car upside down as well in that.
Wow.
Didn't catch who that was. Oh, I think that was the 8. Oh, no, yeah, there was multiple cars upside down in that.
That was the 8 of Richie Murray and the 44 of Belshaw. Actually, that was John Ouellette that went upside down in the purple machine as well. So this one, a very massive incident. Looks like it all started as a checkup behind Kyle Martinson. Oh my gosh. The 44 of... How did he drive away from that, Nick? He almost cleared the fence.
I'm kind of speechless right now because I'm not 100% sure because all I saw there was just an explosion of cars. As looking at this replay, yeah, it just looks like the 81 there. A little bit of a checkup. The 8 of Richie Murray goes flying. Belshaw goes flying into the fence. Ouellette goes flying as well. And man, I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. How does Bob Belshaw drive away from that?
You know what the craziest thing to me is? He doesn't have any required damage on that 44 Bob Belshaw machine. Blows my mind.
Run that back by me one more time. He doesn't have any required damage after
None.
going nose first upside down into the wall at over 60 miles an hour.
The only 2 drivers with required damage in that incident, Rick Rube in the 81 and John Ouellette in the 8 car. Oh my gosh, just look at the onboard with Bob Belshaw, and he drives away from this incident. Doesn't even hesitate. He's just like, yeah, we're going in gear, we're going.
You know what that reminds me of? This is gonna be a bit of a throwback
Magic.
for some people. No, this actually happened in a truck race at Daytona. Rick Crawford blew over, went flipping at Daytona International Speedway, drove away from the wreck, and continued to race.
And look at this, he's rejoining the field.
That's
Bob Belshaw.
absolutely insane.
If miracles exist, I hope that 44 somehow gets in to tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. Matt Rolfe, if you're listening, that 44 would look really good with a provisional to make it into tomorrow's race.
Peer pressure from the broadcast. I need to see that 44 into the feature, man. But no, that's just proof in the pudding there that you can't take the fight out of the dog, because that 44 is somehow continuing to race after a wreck like that is just absolutely insane to me.
Every tire on that 44 is sticking out in a way that it's not supposed to, but he's still going to continue on as the pace car heads pit side. Steele Langford on the loud pedal. Great jump by Brian Tedeschi. Nearly able to stay with Langford. Now clears down ahead of the 03 machine of Dante Curtis. Curtis falling back to the inside of Dallas Pataska. Pataska back in the picture for that transfer spot. 37 laps to go, coming to 36 this time. Tedeschi chasing down Langford as Curtis currently holds onto that final transfer spot. But look at the 07 machine of Kyle Martinson looking to the inside. Actually, no, that is the 23 of Pataska to the inside of Curtis, and just behind them is the 07 of Kyle Martinson as the battle for the transfer has picked up here.
Battle for the transfer has picked up, and right as I say it, that battle for the transfer kind of cools down a little bit as Dante Curtis kind of just lets Pataska go, as now he's trying to defend from the 07 and maybe turn that into an attack on the 23 of Pataska, as now side by side once again for this transfer position. Pataska on the outside in that 23 machine. The 03 of Dante Curtis is on the inside, and things are getting a little bit chippy here as a little bit of contact was made on the entry of turn 3, I believe, as now Pataska's going to go ahead and get clear of the 03 of Curtis. Right as I say that, Curtis peeks a nose to the inside once again and down into turn 3. Pataska's going to go and clear himself and get back in front of that 03.
Just behind them, I'm watching that 9 car of Murphy, Colin Murphy, back into the picture. He was involved in a couple of our earlier incidents here tonight. Now finds himself currently scored in position number 6. He does have a shot at a transfer here, just 2 spots back currently, as he nearly gets into the back of the Kyle Martinson 07 machine. Steele Langford does lead, but Brian Tedeschi really closing that gap now. Tedeschi nearly up to the rear bumper of the Steele Langford machine. Langford hasn't really had too much company here tonight, but now Tedeschi has arrived on scene. He's going to try to get to the inside of Langford, not able to get there that time, but the door is starting to creak open, and Brian Tedeschi is about to kick it in.
He wanted to kick it in there into turn 3, but it didn't materialize into a move as Tadashi now just kind of sitting, waiting. He's waiting for his prey to make a mistake, and his prey right now is that 33 of Steel Langford. This is exactly how I like to set up my passes. I like to sit there and just pile on the pressure exactly like Tadashi is doing, and eventually you'll get that person in front of you to crack and they'll make a mistake. That's exactly what Tadashi is waiting on to pounce, and he's just waiting on Steel Langford to make that even the tiniest mistake, and you can pounce and make a move.
See, I'm not usually quick enough to make passes, so I just wait for people to make a mistake. But Langford leading the way here ahead of Brian Tadashi. Tadashi all over the rear end, getting a little jab there from Cousin Christian, our producer. Is Tadashi going to take a look to the inside here of Langford? Not quite able to get there as the caution comes out right as Brian Tadashi was going for the pass.
Oh man, looks like another big wreck here. Kyle Martinson involved. They the 12 of
Krabik again.
Yeah, Krabik again involved. Curious to see how this one unfolded. Looking at the replay here, Kyle Martinson just getting a bit of a tap there from the 9. Oh man, another unfortunate incident for Krabik in the 12 machine there. Can't forget about Kyle Martinson, who had a chance at that transfer as well.
Couple big hits there. We have had Colin Murphy now retire from today's event, so he's done for the day after that incident. Kyle Martinson and Drew Krabik both definitely going to be feeling the effects of this incident. Those hard hits to the outside wall, definitely not too helpful for them. They were running 5th, 6th, and 7th respectively, with Martinson 5th, Murphy 6th, and Krabik 7th, as you see them both coming pit side now to get some repairs on board their machines. Again, not at risk of going a lap down due to only green flag laps counting here, but this is going to set them back a lot further. Still 26 laps to go. The field definitely shrinking at this point, so not out of the question that they do get back to a transfer spot. Just going to take a lot of work to get there.
Yeah, one thing I've been noticing tonight is this race is kind of an outlier compared to what we've seen from the majority of the rest of the event that we've been able to watch. Is that this race has been a bit of a lot more interesting, I should say, because of the amount of cautions that we've had. I believe we're on caution number 4 or 5 right now, and I'm pretty sure that's more than we've seen combined from the rest of the races that we've been able to watch. Of course, the weekly race on Monday only had, I believe, 1 caution right at the end, and then the qualifying race we saw earlier today, it only had 3 cautions total. So yeah, this race has had more cautions in this one race than the rest of the week combined.
You know, I definitely expected to see a little bit more craziness in these races, these LCQs, but not in the positions that we've seen here tonight. I expected the wrecks to be around the transfer spot, guys getting a bit more aggressive, but it's been 5th, 6th, 7th, 12th, 13th, areas like that that have brought the yellows out tonight. So, like you mentioned, definitely a lot more attrition here tonight than what we've seen so far this week.
Yeah, and I think this race is going to be a battle of who has the least damage at the end, because right now I'm looking at the majority of our field and only really the top 3 don't have any damage on their race cars. So that's just a game of survival of the fittest, and as we're going green once again.
We are back on our way. Still Langford with a great jump there. I just got an update from Matt Rolfe, the top 3 from LCQ number 2 that have transferred over to the main tomorrow night. Rocky Boyd the 3rd, Justin Crow, and Alex Gretz have all advanced to tomorrow night's race.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be passed along to the drivers tonight, as that's not really gonna mean much, as these guys are still working their way through. Just coming up to 20 laps to go now, sitting at 24 to go as Steel Langford crosses the line here. Looking at this battle though for 2nd position, this is Dante Curtis and Brian Tadashi getting up in arms over 2nd position, but they're gonna have to watch out for that 24 of Sean Poole behind him, who wants in on this transfer battle.
Nick, I don't think we have mentioned Sean Cool even once in this event thus far. Came from out of nowhere, started 16th in this event, currently running in that 4th spot. As the caution's out once again, and look who it is. It is the Richie Murray machine as well as Aaron Johnson involved. That was 6th and 7th. Unfortunate there for both of those guys having great rebound runs here tonight.
Yeah, just another bad moment in what has been just a difficult race for both of them. Of course, Richie Murray having that unfortunate moment there at the end of qualifying race number 2, getting turned in the outside wall for a transfer spot. And just another carbon copy as the 78 Aaron Johnson goes barrel rolling in turn 2.
That was a massive hit for Aaron Johnson. If there was any thought of him continuing, I would say that's out the window, as he went for an absolute barrel roll on the racetrack. That machine done for the day. The Richie Murray machine also done for the day with heavy damage on board both of those cars. So we ride on
just a
board
very
here.
difficult race.
Definitely a difficult race. Just look at Aaron Johnson absolutely barrel rolling up and over, and down on the wheels. That was quite the incident there for Aaron Johnson. As we do take a look here at the running order, currently still Langford out front, Brian Tedeschi second, Dante Curtis third, Sean Cool in fourth, Brad Carpenter currently scored fifth, Kyle Martinson will be scored in sixth, Dallas Pataska will be seventh, Drew Krabick eighth, Bob Belshaw after flipping will be scored in ninth, and I believe, Nick, we're down to 9 cars still running. So 2/3 of those cars running at this point will not advance to tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow, especially with how many wrecks we've had tonight. These guys just finding it difficult. Well, not finding it difficult to race per se, but just that extra aggression level of being in an LCQ like these guys are in. I think that's been a big cause as to why tonight has been so difficult to get green flag running in, is because these guys, as I said, they're in the LCQ. They're trying their best to get up to that third position to be able to transfer into the Fall Brawl 250. And I also think emotions are running a little bit high too, because you're a little bit frustrated that you weren't able to get into the top 10 on time trial night last night, and then of course you weren't able to get in through the qualifying heats that we saw earlier today. So I think emotions are just running high for these guys tonight.
Yeah, emotions definitely running high, and as we mentioned, we're going to try to give you updates as we go along here tonight. Just got another update from the administrative team at SARA. One of the provisionals has been handed out to Regan Peral, the top time trialer that did not advance through the LCQ or the heat. Heat time trial 11th will make the show as we're back on our green. Still Langford on the loud pedal. Great jump by Dante Curtis behind him, as Brian Tedeschi going to be stuck on the outside this time. Now clears the Curtis machine. We'll see if he opts to dive down low. Yes, he does. Get back to single file. Just behind them, though, Sean Cool side by side with Kyle Martinson, the 07 on the inside, the 24 of Cool up on the high side. Just behind them, look who it is, Drew Krabick in the 12. He's been involved in multiple incidents tonight and still just outside one of those transfer spots.
Yeah, this is going to be where our battle for that transfer spot is. While that transfer spot is third position, it does look like Dante Curtis is falling off a little bit when it comes to the tire wear. So I think Kyle Martinson in the 07 getting incredibly loose as a bit of a hip check right behind him for Brad Carpenter to the 12 of Drew Krabick. And man, emotions are still running high here as another hip check as Kyle Martinson's going to get turned.
And we're under
huge wreck.
Dallas Pataska gets up in the air off the nose of the car that was just running behind him there. I believe that was the 12 of Drew Krabick. As a result of a domino effect, 31 machine gets into the rear. That's Carpenter into the rear of the 07 of Martinson. And then a domino behind them, Pataska, Krabick, Murray also involved and actually just avoids that one. But another big incident here as we load it up on the Maconi Entertainment replay machine. It all starts as contact between the Martinson and Cool machines heading down into turn number 1. You see it sends Kyle Martinson sideways, then Brett Carpenter into his rear. Dallas Pataska checks up. Drew Krabick into the back of him, sends Pataska up into the air. A bit more damage for all of those drivers as that transfer spot might be getting a little bit easier for Dante Curtis, Brian Tedeschi, and Steele Langford, but we still cannot count these guys out.
Yeah, you just cannot, as now Kyle Martinson has pulled it down pit road. Just a very difficult night for that 07. And you got to take a look at the 23 of Dallas Pataska as well. He's had a difficult night as well. So it's just been a difficult night for a lot of these guys, as now only 8 cars remain on track, or excuse me, 9 cars, I believe, now remain on track and eligible for the transfer spot now.
It's just getting easier and easier for Bob Belshaw to take his flipped number 44 and put it into the show. We'll see if he's able to do it. I think it's still a long shot with the damage that he does have, as we see him on pit road there. But Steele Langford, Brian Tedeschi, and Dante Curtis have all had extremely strong races here tonight. But Sean Cool, again, he has just come onto the scene just about out of nowhere in the last handful of laps, Nick. And I think we definitely have to keep our eyes on that 24. If he can get a good restart, and if Tedeschi can get a good restart ahead of him here, he may be able to clear the Dante Curtis machine and put himself into that transfer spot here on this following replay, or on the following restart.
Yeah, there's also a couple of other guys you can look at as well. I mean, the 31 of Brad Carpenter, he's got a chance. The 12 of Drew Krabick, we've seen him up there. He's got a chance. So I don't think there's anyone that's left in this race that doesn't have a chance, but I will say we're starting to run a little bit close to that time limit for this session. It was 60 laps is this session, or 50 minutes, whichever comes first. And we're creeping up on that 40-minute mark with still just under 20 laps to go. So if things keep going as they are, it'll get a little bit interesting with that time limit.
Yeah, we have 19 laps to go, about 11 and a half minutes to go. If we do get a couple more cautions, we may be racing against the clock here, like you mentioned. Does look like we're getting set to go here. Pace car down, pit lane, Steele Langford on the loud pedal. Tedeschi with a great restart, probably the best restart we've seen out of the outside lane here tonight. He does clear ahead of Dante Curtis. Here comes Sean Cool to the outside of the Curtis machine. Curtis going to currently hold onto that spot. Pataska gets a little bit sideways towards the back half of the top 10, nearly into the Drew Krabick machine. Krabick probably wouldn't be surprised at this point. He's been hit in every direction. But we do see Brad Carpenter getting a little bit sideways once again. Here comes Pataska to his inside. Contact again. We are going to stay green for now, as Carpenter is sitting nose first into the wall, now going backwards on the racetrack right ahead of Steele Langford, as Langford going to come around this time. Actually, Langford has a good gap ahead of him here, but that got a little hairy, Nick.
Oh, yeah, things definitely getting a little bit interesting for that battle for the transfer spot. And now that pretty much only leaves that battle to Dante Curtis and Sean Cool, as the 23 of Dallas Pataska has fallen off a little bit of this battle. So things for that transfer spot seeming to cool down for a little bit, but this LCQ has been anything but cool. So we'll have to see how this is going to play for the rest of the night. But for now, it looks like Dante Curtis is a little bit safer.
Yeah, Dante Curtis definitely has a bit of a buffer here ahead of the Sean Cool machine. It's sitting at about half a second between those cars, and Dante Curtis is closing in a little bit here on the Brian Tedeschi machine. Tedeschi currently scored second behind the 33 of Steele Langford. We're going to come around to 12 laps to go this time for Steele Langford. He has led every lap here in the LCQ tonight, but Tedeschi closing that gap to the rear of Langford. We should have a battle here momentarily for the race lead. Tedeschi going to look for any opportunity to get around the Steele Langford machine, maybe holding something back up until this point, but now looks like he has set himself free and looks to take the lead here, hopefully within the next 10 laps, as we're coming to 10 laps to go.
Yeah, I've been watching Brian Tedeschi in that 29 car, and he can get within about a tenth of a second, tenth and a half. As right as I say that, he's going to look to the inside of Steele Langford, and we are officially side by side for the lead here. Battle for the lead here in LCQ number 1. Brian Tedeschi, Steele Langford, side by side for the lead. And the last time we saw Tedeschi getting this close to the lead, we had a caution come out, but it looks like he's going to get the pass done. As now he's going to fully clear Steele Langford. That begs the question: has Steele Langford killed his tires off, or does he still have a little bit left in the tank?
8 laps to go. Brian Tedeschi, only the second leader of this race. Langford hadn't really been contested at all here tonight, but Tedeschi able to clear. Dante Curtis is closing up to the rear of the Steele Langford machine. Maybe Langford, the one that has killed his tires here in this late run here at Five Flags Speedway. Curtis going to take a look to the inside of Langford. Not able to get there that time. Goes back single file. Top 3 has pulled away 6/10 of a second ahead of 4th place Dallas Pataska. Pataska gonna try everything he can to close that gap. I don't know if he's gonna have the time to get there without a caution, but we're gonna be watching this battle for second as Dante Curtis keeps creeping to the inside, taking looks, seeing when he can get there, as he's gonna take a run at it this time. Don't know that he's gonna have the opportunity, and actually he makes it work. He's gonna get to the inside of Langford. They're gonna be side by side down the back straightaway with, I believe, Dante Curtis. Yes, Curtis does clear the Langford machine. Langford now gets back behind him as, well, you know what? I mentioned that Pataska was falling off, but he's right there. Welcome back to the picture, Dallas Pataska.
Dallas Pataska now in with a chance at that transfer spot, as you mentioned. Langford really falling off. His times are into the 17-second bracket, whereas Dante Curtis is still running 16.6s. You take a look at Pataska, 16.6 that last time. Steele Langford with a 16.7, so that 33 is falling off here as we're coming up towards 2 laps to go here for Brian Tedeschi, who is leading this LCQ. And now here comes Dallas Pataska as he's looking for any type of mistake that Steele Langford may make. He gets to the inside here as they're coming to the white flag.
Dallas Pataska to the inside of Steele Langford. He will not be afraid to use the bumper to move that 33 out of the way. This is his last chance to make it. There's
and
the
he
bumper.
does it!
He moves the 33 of Langford, completely spins him around. Here comes Sean Cool. Cool to the outside of Pataska. Sean Cool gonna take the final transfer spot as Brian Tedeschi, Dante Curtis, and Sean Cool with a cool move at the end transfers into tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. First car on the outside looking in, Dallas Pataska after contact with Steele Langford. Langford absolutely dominated tonight's race and now finds himself on the outside looking in.
Man, that is heartbreaking for Steele Langford, going from the lead on lap 52 to finishing 8th position in the end. That is a tough pill to swallow for the 33 of Steele Langford there. Just an absolutely heartbreaking moment for him.
You know, what's even worse about that incident, Nick, is Pataska used the bumper to move Langford out of the way, but ended up costing himself even more. I think he would have been able to probably move him up the racetrack in turn 3 and dive underneath to work his way into the show. Now finds himself on the outside as well, but all credit to Sean Cool for what he did there. Worked his way up from 16th, kept his car absolutely spotless and clean here tonight, and has locked his way in to tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. So congratulations once again to Brian Tedeschi, Dante Curtis, and Sean Cool qualifying here from LCQ number 1.
Yeah, and so all the spots are set up for the Fall Brawl 250 tomorrow night, except for 2 more at-large bids for a provisional to into the event. Of course, one of the provisionals has already been given out, which is the fastest car in time trials that did not advance already. Of course, the second and third provisionals, one being awarded to the top driver in the Super Series points from the 2023 spring season that hasn't advanced, and of course, the final one being the at-large bid for a provisional that will be given out by the admins.
Well, Nick, it does look like we have our top three from LCQ number 2 standing by in the transfer room number 1. Why don't we go ahead and pull them in here? We'll start with our runner-up, Jacob Crow from LCQ number 2 here tonight, as he has left the building. So let's go ahead and pull. Oh, there he is. Jacob Crow, welcome to the booth. It's Robert Hill Jr., Nick Stein. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Jacob, we were following the other LCQ here tonight, but congratulations on qualifying your way into tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. Why don't you walk us through your race and maybe what you had to deal with over there, some challenges and some stuff you learned heading into tomorrow night's big race?
Yeah, I mean, I knew we had a good piece. Started on the outside P6, which is not preferred, but managed to find an opening, get down to the inside, and then a couple cautions worked in my favor and kept that inside starting spot, and got some teammates lined up, 1, 2, 3, and eventually 4. Hate it for Ben Nile. I think they said that he was the fastest car on the track there near the end, but he didn't make it. But yeah, we just got lined up, set a pace and logged some laps and hoped it stayed green. Worked in our favor.
Definitely worked in your favor. I'm going to toss you over here to Nick and see if he has any questions for you.
Yeah, I mean, what's your the only question I got for you is what's your plan heading into tomorrow? It being a 250 lap race. Kind of walk us through what's your plan for tomorrow.
Oh man, well, it's definitely going to be a big tire management race. So that's going to definitely have to watch the pace, but also not sit in the back for too long. But it's we as a team we kind of worked on a strategy that we think is going to work. So hope the cautions fall in our favor and we can get the pit cycles that we want and make our way towards the front.
Well, Jacob, before we let you go here tonight to get set for tomorrow night's main event, any sponsors you want to thank or shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, I want to thank Pedley's Garage, locally owned and operated out of Owensboro, Kentucky. Ryan Kuhn and all the guys at RKM Setup Shop. Ryan consistently builds some of the best short track setups. And when it comes to these special events and longer races, he just takes it to a whole nother level. We've put in a lot of time this week getting prepared. So, thank you for him for giving us a good piece. I got to thank Kyle Storm for sponsoring the awesome looking Justin Brooks design paint job that's on the car. Thank you guys for the broadcast, and Matt and all the guys with SARA for putting on these events.
Well, congratulations on a great run here tonight. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night in the Fall Brawl 250. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That was Jacob Crow, your runner-up in LCQ number 2. Why don't we go ahead and talk to Alex Gretz, the third-place finisher in LCQ number 2, to talk about his race here tonight. Alex, it's Robert Hill Jr., Nick Stein up in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Alex, you took that VTEC-powered Honda Civic and locked yourself into tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. Why don't you walk us through the race and what you had to deal with to work your way into the big show?
It all went downhill from qualifying. I, didn't have the best run in qualifying, got into the fence on the front stretch, and it put me behind the 8 ball, to say the least, into the heats. Had a rough heat, and then I, was like, all right, well, now time to go to the LCQ. I was pretty confident in my car going into the LCQ. I had Rocky and Justin there, obviously my teammates. And I was like, all right, well, just gonna ride for a bit, see what happens. Ended up sitting P3 and stayed there, so it wasn't too bad. Pretty uneventful. I got a bit snug at the end. I made an adjustment for the shorter race, and it ended up being worse than the original heat race setup. But I still transferred, so it is what it is.
You definitely did transfer, Alex, and you mentioned your team had an absolutely flawless performance in LCQ number 2, locked out the podium. What is it about your team and all 3 of you drivers that has really made you very strong here this week, and what can we expect from you guys tomorrow night in the big show?
Well, I think most of the thanks have to go to Ryan. He spends countless hours on these setups, and he consistently puts out some of the best on the sim. Without Ryan, I don't think I would be here, and I don't think Rocky or Justin would be here either, to be fair. Because we're very lucky to have Ryan behind us, because he puts his entire heart and soul into the operation, trying to get us as fast as he possibly can be. I think for tomorrow, looking forward, it's a much longer race. We obviously do have change tires, but I think it's going to come a lot down to pit strategy. But I think we're going to see a lot of those long green flag runs, 60, 70 lap runs. So I think it's going to come down to a lot of pit strategy and a lot of, who pits when and who takes their tires when, because tires obviously are a very big thing here. One big slide and you're loose for the rest of the race. So I think it's important to conserve your stuff, but also play the strategy right so you end up there at the end.
Well, being there at the end, definitely the goal for everybody in this race. But before we let you go here tonight, Alex, any sponsors you want to thank or shout outs you want to give?
Obviously, Ryan Kuhn, RKM Setup Shop. Then we've got Alex Gretz Racing, myself. You got Studio 10 Wraps, Justin Brooks Designs. He's the one who designed my great looking car tonight. And then obviously the Navy Special Operations Foundation. They're one of my IRL sponsors, and they helped me out a lot this past year. So I figured I'd throw them on the car for the special event.
Well, Alex, congratulations on locking into the big show, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you.
That was Alex Gretz, the third place finisher from LCQ number 2. And finally, from LCQ number 2, the winner, Rocky Boyd, standing by with Nick Stein.
Nick Stein, Jesus. Rocky Boyd, Nick Stein up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, yeah, you finish in the lead, or excuse me, you finish with the win in LCQ number 2 and transfer into the Fall Brawl 250 tomorrow night, man. How are you feeling? Emotions got to be pretty high after that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely glad to get in the show and, all that, but I kind of wish we weren't even in the LCQ to begin with, but we were there, and that's the cards we were dealt, and we did the best we could with them.
Yeah, that's about all you can do, especially at a track like Five Flag Speedway, man. I don't really have that many questions for you, so I'm going to go ahead and pass you on to Robert Hill, make sure he doesn't have anything for you.
Well, Rocky, once again, congratulations on the victory there in LCQ number 2. Your team very, very strong here tonight, locking out the podium. What can you take from your teammates and what you learned here tonight and all week long, really, in the build-up to the Fall Brawl 250 into tomorrow night's race and some lessons that you might have picked up?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more fun to be up front than it is to be in traffic and in that dirty air. So track position is going to be big for us, and that's going to be the goal come Thursday is to try and get a little bit of clean air and do what we can.
Well, Rocky, before we let you go, any sponsors you want to thank or shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, I want to thank Ryan Kuhn and our Camp Setup Shop for everything they do for me. They brought us some really good cars this week, and we're trying to make the best of it. I want to thank Kyle Storm Racing and everything he's done for me, and Justin Brook Designs. He got me a really good looking paint scheme for this week, and I can't thank him enough for the fast turnaround. And I want to thank Boyd's Automotive for everything they've done and supporting my sim racing career.
Well, congratulations once again, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow night in the Fall Brawl 250.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
That was Rocky Boyd, the winner of LCQ number 2. And I see a very excited driver in transfer room waiting by. It's Sean Cool, our third place finisher. Sean, you started 16th. You worked your way up to third. But late in the running, you were on the outside looking in. What was your mindset on that last lap, knowing that you had to gain 2 spots to work your way in? Did you think you had a shot at it?
I was running out of hope, but all you can do is stay locked in. Dylan Bates, who locked in the heat races, was talking to me and trying to talk me off the ledge, but I did all I could there. The car was so wadded up, it was skipping off the splitter all the way around the racetrack. I was aiming for the wall just to make the corner. It was skipping so bad. But I just figured I let Pataska go. He was a lot faster there, and I was just hoping that maybe there'd be some I think it was Pataska. Just hoping there'd be some impatience or something there, and turns out that's what happened.
Yeah, it definitely did happen there. A bit of a stack up ahead of you. And when you came around the turn and you saw those 2 cars that you had to pass stop there on the bottom, what was the excitement like for you knowing that if you got by them, you were in the Fall Brawl 250?
Well, the excitement's there, of course. You know that you got a shot then, and a good one at that. But the goal was just obviously to get around him without getting in it, and because I didn't know how aggressive those guys would either hang a right to try to keep on going or or what they would do there. So the goal was just to stay in it, do it safely, and get by them. And it worked out.
Definitely worked out for you. I'm going to pass you over here to Nick and see if he has any questions for you.
Yeah, man. The only thing I got for you is that was just. You tried to explain it earlier. I just got to know what the mental was heading into that final lap. Just knowing that you're in 5th position, need to get to 3rd, and did you see all that happen in front of you, man? I just got to know what you were thinking, because I know feelings must have been pretty down once you saw that white flag and you saw you weren't in 3rd.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew I didn't have the speed at the end there. I was driving it for all it was worth, just to see what I could do. But once those guys started walking away, I knew that the car was hurt. There was nothing we had left. And but like I say, Dallas went by pretty quick. I knew that at that speed he was probably going to catch him. And I was waiting for about the second to last lap. They were starting to mix it up, and I was like, it could happen. It could happen. And of course, with my luck, it's got to wait till the absolute last second. But it's nothing you want to see necessarily, but for me, I was definitely welcome.
Well, Sean, before we let you go, any sponsors you want to thank or shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I want to thank the Velocity Motorsports guys. We still got a lot with this car to figure out, and we're working really hard at it. And we've been battling through some of those struggles all week this week, and even the week leading up to it, all the races before that, really. So we've been putting a lot of time into it. We found some good speed here late. We still got some more to find, but the grit and the effort is there, and we put a few guys into this race just for without the lack of effort, that's for sure. So I want to thank Dylan Bates, Eric Tracy, Kieran. I want to thank Jason and all those guys back at Velocity that are putting in the time and effort, and we'll figure this out.
Well, the effort definitely paid off. Locked yourself into tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. Congratulations once again, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow night.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
That was Sean Cool, our final transfer from LCQ number 1. And finally, the man of the hour here, the winner of LCQ number 1. It is Brian Tedeschi. Brian, it's Robert Hill Jr. and Nick Stein up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, got you loud and clear.
Well, Brian, you had a really strong run there in LCQ number 1. Steel Langford pretty much dominated the majority of that one until you got by him with about 13 or 14 laps to go. Were you holding back a little bit, trying to save a bit of tire and just waiting for the right moment to pounce on Steel Langford, or did he just kind of fall off and you were able to get by?
Yeah, saving a little bit, kind of more or less riding. I mean, being in a transfer spot, kind of neutral in the middle there, there's really no reason to push. But I mean, really, when he started falling back to me, figured it was worth it. Had enough fuel, had enough tire to make it, so might as well give it a shot to try to get the win.
Absolutely, and we've seen you on track quite a bit this week, taking part in numerous sessions and trying to build up a bit of Rolodex of information heading into tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. What have you learned from these races that you've taken part in that can transfer ahead to tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250 and help set you up for a potentially successful run there?
I think it's just the big thing is just tire data. I mean, as far as track time goes, having a good group of people like the posse with Ty, Riley, Joe, them having a good showing in the pole dash definitely helps with data, but got to get better. Kind of this is a product of kind of a poor qualifying effort on my part and kind of snowball all the way through to having to run the last chance. So got to work on a couple things and hopefully get some stuff figured out tonight and move into tomorrow.
You mentioned the team behind you. Who do you got to thank for helping get you here? And just quickly before we get there, our friend Jeff Maconi is saying hello to you as well. So hello from Jeff. But
yeah, for sure.
Any shout outs you want to give or sponsors you want to thank, Brian?
I think the big thing is first off the posse, Ty Majeski, Riley Senjim, Joe Schaefer, all the boys, Mark Logan. Like I said, we locked in, I think 6 cars pretty much between all of us. So pretty good to have a whole fleet of us in. Sponsor wise, Epic Media, Drew Krybeck, big supporter of us, kind of the posse on and off the racetrack throughout Wisconsin. Loco Toco Designs, Toby Race Products, Left-Hander Chassis. And then, like I said, the whole group of guys, that's the biggest thing. We've worked hard. Like I said, it sucks to be kind of the worst of the team and be the kind of the most insignificant data point. But like I said, I think we'll work on some stuff tonight and get better.
Definitely. Anytime you can be on the track, there's always data to pick up and lessons to learn. But Brian, we wish you the best of luck tomorrow night and congratulations once again on winning LCQ number 1.
Yep. Thank y'all.
Well, Nick, we're getting down to the final moments of tonight's broadcast and the final moments of the lead up to tomorrow night's Fall Brawl 250. What have you seen on the racetrack this week and some of the things that you've picked up heading into tomorrow night's main event?
Well, a few things I've picked up is these guys could definitely race when they want to race. Of course, we saw in the weekly shootout race on Monday that guys weren't really wanting to race. Not in a bad sense, more of they were just trying to get through the race because, it technically was a fun race. And then last night with the qualifying and then the pole shootout, guys were starting to get a little bit more aggressive. And of course, tonight with the heats and then the LCQs, things kind of came to a boiling point at the finish there of LCQ2. I think that these guys are going to go and bring it back a little bit once it comes to the start of tomorrow and the Fall Brawl 250. So I think tomorrow will be a really, really good race, and I'm honestly really sad that I'm not able to call it.
Yeah, unfortunately, our time together this week is about to come to an end, and it's been really fun calling this racing action with you and going through the week. But like you mentioned, these guys definitely showed that they can race and really put on a great show. And I'm looking forward to bringing you the action tomorrow night with Alexander Balderas to see what these drivers can do. And I'm very interested in seeing what the likes of Brian Tedeschi and Sean Cool and others that worked their way through the LCQs can work on tonight and during the day tomorrow to get themselves just that much better heading into the Fall Brawl 250. But that is going to do it for us here tonight. And before we head off, we do want to thank tonight's admin team as well as all the sponsors that make this event possible. We certainly couldn't do it without them. H&H Sign Supply, SimWrap Market, RaceOneWraps.com, as well as Condo Captures are all responsible in helping to bring the 9th annual SARA Fall Brawl to life. Calling the action tonight was myself, Robert Hill Jr., alongside Nick Stein here in the booth with cousin Christian Hill on the controls. We thank him for his efforts here this week as well. We want to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in here tonight, and be sure to tune in again tomorrow night for night number 4 of racing with the Fall Brawl 250. That stream will go up around 9:15 Eastern time, and we'll bring you all that action. But be sure to stay tuned to the Maconi Entertainment social media pages for all of our upcoming broadcasts so you don't miss a thing. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment, and we'll see you at the Checkered Flag. Have a good night, everybody.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.